Codemasters shared a ton of new info on Dirt 5, and I'm here to give you a rundown of everything that's been announced. So without further ado, let's get right into it. More stuff have been revealed, and now we have a list of all the track locations to be featured in the game at launch, and these are Nepal, Arizona, Roosevelt Island, Norway, China, Morocco, Greece, Italy, South Africa, and Brazil. Nepal is a new location for the series, and it's going to feature ice racing and a lot of twists and turns. To the surprise of no one, the Arizona location is going to feature desert and canyon with a purpose-built oval track specifically designed for sprint races. This is the second American location, and it features an iconic area of New York. This one will also feature some ice sections where you get to race over the frozen East River and also through the urban jungle, both of which you'll get to drive through some iconic landmarks. Winter is obviously the theme for this one, and it's going to feature the beautiful northern lights, and that's enough to make this a contender for my favorite track in the game. You get to drive through snow-covered routes as well as a coastal town, which kind of reminds me of the Norway tracks we have in Drive Club. This location will specifically feature ultra-cross routes, more on that later. With any tracks featured in China, there are two options. Go for the sprawling urban environments or the scenic vistas, and now we know that Dirt 5 is going to focus on the latter, giving us a chance to drive through paddy fields, under the shadows of the Gilling Mountains, and also over ornate bridges. Rocky and dusty routes are the theme here, and judging by how Codemasters have described the location, this seems to feature some of the most technical tracks in the game. Whether you like this idea or not depends on your personal preference, but at least you get to drive through villages and vibrant oases. Mountain passes, rocky trails, and steep tracks. These are the key words here. You drive across beautiful vistas and through some cool routes. In Italy, you get the chance to drive around a huge marble mine while also exploring some picturesque vistas mixed in with the unique and jagged terrain. This location is set to feature some of the most extreme events in the game where, interestingly enough, it's more about surviving through the tracks rather than being quick. Looking forward to finding out exactly what this means. This location takes us to Cape Town, where you get to race at the base of Table Mountain as well as twisty urban routes. This location will also feature some familiar landmarks. Rounding things up, we have Brazil, where you get to drive in Rio de Janeiro, and as a Brazilian myself, it feels really weird to say it like English-speaking people would, but in case you're curious, Rio de Janeiro is how we say it. This track takes place under the gaze of Christ the Redeemer, or Cristo Redentor for the locals, where you get to drive through favelas, which are your slums, surrounded by lush vegetation and all sorts of track surfaces. These are all the tracks confirmed to be in the game at launch, and every single location confirmed is going to feature dynamic extreme weather, including blizzards, lightning strikes, sandstorms, thunderstorms, and more, and all of it sounds crazy enough to make it a compelling package. And that's not all. On my last video covering Dirt 5, I talked about car classes and some of the cars confirmed for the game, and now we have a confirmation of the race types we have available in the game. Kicking things off, we have Ultra Cross, which mixes multiple types of terrain, crazy and unpredictable design, and challenging bends. This will be the equivalent to classic Rallycross but turned up to 11, featuring circuit-based races around crossovers and awesome environments. These are your point-to-point events classic to the Dirt franchise, where you get to drive through natural landscapes requiring precision. Rally raid races are designed for extreme off-road vehicles, featuring high-speed sections, jumps, and also route splits, which allow for shortcuts. This one sounds like it's going to be a crazier variation of circuit-based racing as it features jumps and technical sections on both dirt and snow. Extreme weather and dynamic track conditions are going to play a key role in mixing things up, amping up the difficulty. Codemasters' description mentions minimal grip, maximum fun. Not so sure about the fun part. I don't usually relate lack of grip to fun, but I'll hold my judgment until I get to play it. This type of race will feature short circuits that take place exclusively on ice, and it will require a lot of throttle control, drifting, and momentum to master. Shock absorbers are your best friend when driving through these unforgiving routes built for vehicles that are able to withstand some damage. You'll drive through mud, sand, and other types of track surface. Codemasters say this will feature unmarked routes, which I take to be those type of races where it doesn't matter what path you take as long as you make it to the finish line, and that brings Forza Horizon 4's Free Roam Rush to mind, which are absolute garbage online. But let's see. Making its debut in the Dirt franchise, Pathfinder will offer some hardcore off-road terrain, with steep jumps and rock-strewn paths. What makes this interesting is that Codemasters said this would take more than just speed to win, requiring strategy and also survival while driving a rock bouncer. This one kind of reminds me of Overpass, which is a game that's been released recently where you have to plan your routes carefully to make sure you get to the finish line. If that ends up being the case here, I don't expect it to be as slow-paced, but it sounds like a cool idea, at least on paper, provided they ghost the other cars if that's meant to be played online as well. Remember those cars with huge ass wings from my last video? So this is the event type for them. These will mostly be oval and circular tracks which will require constant drift control. Now, Dirt 3 fans, rejoice, it's back. I suck at Gymkhana and I don't know why I'm excited. But yeah, it's back and you get to jump, drift, donut, and if you're like me, most likely crash your way through these very technical high-octane arenas. And like in the original, multipliers and hitting the target score within the time limit are going to be the determining factor here. This is probably the most straightforward race type on this list. You'll basically be able to drive through any track, whether it's a circuit or a point-to-point variation, and the objective here is to shave as many tenths as possible off your lap time. The biggest thing personally is that the leaderboards are going to be set by scenarios, which means lap time set at, let's say, night under heavy rain in Greece will only be compared against lap time set under the exact same conditions, and that gets a big thumbs up from me. Livery editor and photo mode are both confirmed to be in the game, and we have more details before launch. Oh yeah, did I mention local split screen is back? And in 2020 nonetheless? What was thought to be a long gone feature that used to be a selling point of many of past racing games will be in Dirt 5. And if you buy the collector's edition, you'll also get a hazmat suit so you and your friends can enjoy this mode without risking contamination. And before I go, here's the box art for both the standard and amplified edition of the game, both of which are available for pre-order. There's more to come, and I'll make sure to do another video whenever Codemasters is ready to share. Dirt 5 launches October 9th for Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and PC, with free upgrades confirmed for both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. Talk to you on the next one. Bye.